Hello everyone, thanks for coming out. My name's Devin Abbot, and I started a company called Deco. We make an IDE for React Native. And so today I'm going to tell you a little bit about building an IDE for React and React Native and developer tools for these technologies in general. Before I start, just because I'm curious, how many of you guys have used React Native? Specifically React Native. Okay, like 30% or something. So everything I say is going to be relevant to both, but because React Native is replacing, native mobile development, which was really crappy, React Native just seems a lot better. So that's why I'm sticking to that. Anyway, a little bit about me. So the reason why I started all this stuff is because I used to work at Yahoo. And this was 9 months ago. And I saw maybe 15 mobile app teams, iOS and Android. And it just frustrated me to no end how difficult it was to reuse code, reuse components. And I don't just mean Android and iOS, of course that's important, but even like 2 iOS apps, or 2 different screens of the same app. It's just so hard to reuse code. And so when I ended up moving to the Yahoo Mail team, which was transferring all of its code base from YUI, if you're old enough to remember it, to React, that was my first time with React, and I fell in love with it immediately. Maybe because I was writing Angular before. I can say that here. Haven't tried Angular too much, so I'll leave that caveat. But so when I tried React, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I can actually reuse code. So what would it be like if all of our tools were built around React, specifically React, and the idea of code reuse and building apps faster? So, an IDE enables developers to build higher quality apps faster. And that's really our mission. Our mission is to make the React development experience the best experience on the planet. So, all the times when you're building an app right now, and you're just sort of running in circles, and I can name a couple moments when you might feel this. You're setting up your environment. Your scaffolding, your boilerplates with actions and reducers and stores and that sort of thing. Or you're re-implementing a common UX pattern, and you see it in 1,000 apps in the App Store, but somehow the open source one doesn't quite fit in your app, and so you're building it yourself. All these times when you're just sort of running in circles, I want to smooth that out. I want to make it fast and easy and fun, and really accelerate the app development experience. So there are 3 things I'm going to talk about, 3 big ideas. And we hope to work toward these in the future. You can also see some of these in our current product, Deco IDE, it's free open source. The first one is components. Components are everything to React, so our tooling should support them. The second thing is scaffolding. How can we take you from a 0, a blank slate, to 80% of your app almost instantly? And then the last thing is previewing. React and its amazing hot reloading really changes how you should be able to work with your live running app. Let's jump into components. So when we build apps, we often use common UX patterns, grids, lists, sidebars, that sort of thing, because users are familiar with them. And coding, somehow we still re-implement many of them. It should be as simple as, I want a grid component, and I want a video component, and I stick one in the other, and that's it. I shouldn't have to write any custom code for that. Or maybe I have a hamburger menu, and I want to put a contacts list in that. Again, 2 totally common UX patterns, shouldn't have to write any custom code for that. And okay, of course with these off-the-shelf components, they won't look like my design, so I'll have to sort of zoom in on one. Let's take my contacts list here, and I'll say, I actually want to change the color of the circles to white, I want to change the width and height. And then I pop it back into my app and keep working. And when I'm done with this component, let's say I made like the material design contacts list or something, maybe it's something I want another team to reuse, or I want to publish it, I want it to be an NPM package. It should be super easy for my tooling to extract it, to identify the important parts, and to make it so that anyone searching for contacts has my component as one of several just jumping off points, which they can then tweak and fit to their needs. So it should never be like this, where I'm just trying to fit the square peg in the round hole, and I say, fuck it, and I copy and paste the code into my project, and I start just changing it manually, and then it's all bad. You don't want to go there. It shouldn't have to be like that.
Smart kid.
Second thing is scaffolding. So let's imagine for a moment that I'm building an app, new app from scratch, and I'm building a pixel art sharing app. It's like the next Snapchat, but for pixel art. And so I'm going to send pixel art to people, and they'll make some, and they'll send it back. It's going to be amazing. And so what that might look like by current standards for app development is start with nothing. And by the end of the first week, I probably have the basic layout, I have all my classes stubbed out, I have my data stubbed out, and I'm always lazy with colors, so I use like red and green and blue, like all the hideous CSS defaults. And so it always looks like this, and people are like, oh my god. But that's week 1. So week 2, well, it still looks pretty bad, but I flesh out all the smaller components, all the details of the UI, and then week 3 I style it. So at this point, you know, I'm making this pixel art sharing app. Week 3 I have like a bare bones messaging app. And then week 4, I actually add the cool pixel art sharing, which was the whole purpose of the app. So 2 things seem wrong with this to me. The first thing is, I spent the first 3 weeks, I spent 75% of my time building a messaging app. And that's a common UX pattern. That should just exist. I should just be able to npm install that. And I spent only 1 week focusing on my really cool and innovative feature, which is pixel art sharing. That seems wrong. The second thing that seems wrong is I spent a month to build this app, and a month is just too long to go on building without having someone try it. Because when you get your app into a user's hands for the first time, they'll often do something a little different than what you might expect. And maybe their way is better, but you want to know that as soon as possible. You know, maybe with my messaging app, people don't want to switch messengers, they just want a plugin for Facebook Messenger or something. So okay, let's rewind. What I want this to be like is, week 0, I start with a scaffolded version. And what I mean by that is, I can just pop in the messaging portion in a day. And, okay, it won't use maybe my data, but it'll use some data. It'll use Firebase or something with this mocked out data. And it won't be my designs, but it won't be CSS red, green, and blue either. It'll look normal, you can hand it to someone. And that frees me up to immediately transition into the cool feature, the pixel art sharing. So by the end of the first week, I'm essentially where I was by the end of the 4th week before. And we want this to sort of be the iterative development process so that you get 80% of the way immediately, and then tweak it from there. Then the last thing I'm going to talk about is previewing, thanks to React's hot reloading. And for this, I'm going to show you a demo. So I'm going to show you 2 things today. The first thing, I'm going to do something I've done over and over, and you may have seen videos online where I build the main UI for the Uber app in 5 minutes. So let's get started. Not that. This is the Uber app, or at least it was at the time when I made this demo. And then this is what we'll be building. It's called Uber. And we're going to use Deco, which is an IDE for React Native. We hope to make it equally good for React in the future. So, okay, I'm going to start with a little code I had already. Get this over here. It's pretty short. It's just sort of a boilerplate. And let me open the simulator. Here. And everything I showed is sort of concept. This doesn't really look like our actual product. It's just sort of for demo purposes. But all the ideas, I think, are very important. And we hope to add them and see them in other developer tools in the future. So, okay, so I'm trying to build the Uber app. And let me start with a map. I could start typing code manually, but wouldn't it be amazing if I could just say, I want to insert a component, and I want to find a map component. And I hit enter, and a map pops in. Or I want a location pin. I hit enter, and a location pops in. And this is fully interactive, running in the Ava simulator. And you'll also notice, as I add these components and the code pops in, some of their props appear on the right. And I can tweak them in real time, thanks to React and React Native hot loading. And I can change the color with contextually relevant color pickers. I don't have to type red. Nope, don't like that, delete that. Blue, delete. No, I can just use a color picker. Okay, let's add a few more components, make it really look like Uber. If you ever use React Native, you know you can solve most problems by wrapping things in a view. So I'm going to add a title bar, and I'm going to add a location search box. And if you're wondering where these components are coming from, they're coming from the Deco component registry. The idea we wanted to have was a registry just for React components. And so I don't have to go to React.parts or JS Coach or whatever and read these big lists. I can just search the React component, it pops in the JSX, and it appears on the screen instantly. And last thing I need to add is a toggle button. That'll be at the bottom. Okay, looks roughly like Uber app. Let me tweak a couple more props so it looks even more similar. I'll change the title to Uber. I'll add margin, show label, location, change the label color. Let me tweak the color of the toggle button, add border radius, and some padding. Okay, looking a bit better now. The last thing I'll do is I'll just hook up one bit of functionality, which is the location search box I want to update as I move the map around. So I'm going to open that, and I notice that there's already this scaffold on that long change. And so I'm going to say this.set state, and I'm just going to put the latitude and longitude into the state. And then I notice that the search box takes as input latitude and longitude. It's going to throw an error for a second as I type here. Then when I refresh, I should now be able to move the map around, and you can see the location updates, which is pretty cool. So that was my first demo, building Uber. The second thing I'm going to show, because sort of games are a theme today, is a game called Floaty Plane. I actually didn't write this one. My friend Nick from Exponent, another company doing React Native stuff, wrote this, and I just stole it. And you'll notice that all the code is just horrendous. That's not Nick's fault. No, I mucked up everything because in this demo version I couldn't use import statements and a whole bunch of other stuff. So don't worry about the code quality. That was what Jordan's presentation is for. It's okay. So I've got Floaty Plane. And I'll play it once just to get the idea, but I died. So I just am going to turn on leap mode, and that will make me invincible. So cool. I like this game a lot better already. But okay, tweaking games is difficult. Having people test them over and over and recompiling. What if I want to make it easier, I just increase the gap between the pipes and I move them higher? And you'll notice already the pipes appear much further apart. It's a much easier game. Or what if I want to increase the amplitude of the bird so he flies higher and lower? Or what if I want to increase the frequency? So now he goes really fast. Or what if I want to adjust the game speed? Speed it up. Or slow it down. I can slow it all the way to stop, and now it's paused. I'll put it back. Or I can go to the bird, and I can say, I want to see the hitbox, so I know where he's actually cutting the stuff. And actually, I want the bird to be twice its size, or maybe 3 times, or 4 times. And I don't want to rotate anymore, because that's annoying. Okay, so it's definitely a worse game than Nick's original Floaty Plane, which is a great game, I might add. But you can see how it's actually really amazing that thanks to hot loading, I am able to tweak this game in real time and just keep playing it and see exactly what the right values, sizes, speeds are. So that's it. We hope to see a lot of what I've shown around components, around scaffolding, future developer tools for React and React Native. And you can try my IDE. It's called Deco, just so you know how to spell that. Go here. It's free, it's open source. Love to have contributors, etc. Give it a shot. Thanks.